Good morning. We are now joined by Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford. Joey, you had a great run last week, obviously, at Richmond. 2 wins this season. Just recap a little bit of kind of your week and then coming into Talladega this weekend.
Yeah, obviously, last few weeks have gone well. Obviously, coming off a win in Richmond was great. And then, a lot of times, when you win, obviously a lot of other obligations come in, a lot of media stuff, and, whips through some of that. And obviously coming in here to Talladega is kind of we consider a little bit of a lighter weekend because we don't practice a whole bunch here. So kind of the perfect week to take that win and still be ready and get all your ducks in a row for when you get here to Talladega. So we're ready to go and try to put our Shell Pennzoil Ford in victory lane one more time.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started with questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We're going to start with Tom and then go to Jeff Gluck.
Hi, Joey. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. What are you expecting to see in qualifying tomorrow with the new format being run for the first time at a plate track? Pack racing for more speed or smaller groups to stay out of a qualifying wreck?
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows for sure what's going to happen. I will say we have a little game plan to work and try to make sure our cars not only stay safe but are able to go out there and post a good lap and to try to get through all the segments. Our car is still the only car to get through every segment this year so far, and there's something to be proud of. This is the one real wild card, because really the fastest car. Good chance won't get the pole or may not get the pole this week. So that's going to be something that's going to be very different. There's a lot of strategy that's going to go into this. And, we're going to watch nationwide qualifying and see what they do there. And then also I think if you look at the practice we had here last year when we knew qualifying was going to get rained out and everyone kind of did it. And it took 5 laps for everyone to get going because no one wanted to be the lead guy, and I think guys are just going to go out there. I think there'll be a point that there's going to be a lot of cars out there. I think you have to put your lap up fairly quick because, I think after the first 5 minutes, the top 18 cars or so are probably going to pit, and not be out there. So the less cars that are on the racetrack, the harder it is to run that fast lap. I've been working with my teammate Brad and also with McDowell some, I think, and kind of figure out what we got to do to put together a good package for us to run a fast lap and have the right strategy and also stay out of the crash because I think it's going to happen. I think there will be a wreck within this qualifying session just because the closing rate you're going to be catching some of these guys and if a guy's in the middle of the racetrack and then you're going to the bottom and he decides he wants to get out of the way and goes to the bottom, shoot, you're going to get in a crash. So it's just going to be you got to be on your toes throughout the whole session, and I think as each session goes, it's going to get a little bit calmer because obviously there's going to be less cars out there.
Thank you. All right, Jeff, go ahead.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I'm behind the cameras too. Last year in the fall race here, in the last couple laps, you and Brad tried to pull out a line and go on the low line. Everybody stayed high, and nobody went with you. Why do you think the low line wasn't where people wanted to be, and why didn't you get help?
I think there's multiple theories behind it, but I do feel like Daytona this year was better than what we've had last year for the package we had, and I think because of the added spoiler. For one reason, I think the reason why the bottom lane doesn't work as well is because we got those big shark fins on the side, and the spoiler does not overhang the shark fin to the left side. So when you're side drafting a car from the left, it's not as effective as it is on the right. So everyone protects the top to make sure no one gets to the right side of them. And then the left side is just like I said, it's hard to pull them back. And then for that reason, everyone knows how hard it is, and no one really goes down there, and you just don't go. Obviously, it's the shortest way around, so it's very tempting. There's a lot of times that top lane, it checks up a lot, and you feel like you get the momentum to do it, and you probably can pass 2-3 cars in the corner. But if you don't get up off the corner, you're done, and you'll lose 15 spots. So I think a lot of people look at it as risk versus reward. A gain of 3 spots or a loss of 15 or 20 spots. And I think that's why a lot of guys just decide to hang up top until people start running out of patience and going to the bottom. And I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of running out of patience because I want to go and win the race. If I'm running 10th or so, I don't feel like I'm in position to win it, so I want to go for it and try to get some track position to try to do something at the end of it. But it's just it's a different type of racing now for sure. And but I do feel like with the added spoiler we've got this year, that we're able to side draft cars a little easier, a little better from the bottom. That allows the inside lane to work a little bit better.
All right, Alan, go ahead.
Alan Cavana, NASCAR.com. You touched on it a little after Texas, but how much does having the win and now two, in your pocket change your approach, either just your attitude or your scheduled tests, in terms of running up to the chase now that both you and Brad have wins, and does that change everything?
Yeah, it changes a lot, and I don't really feel like Richmond changed our game plan any from what we had before we won Richmond. I feel like one win's going to be enough, I think, especially, if you look at the points position that both the 22 and the 2 are right now. I think we're 6th and 7th, which is, there's going to be guys obviously that aren't as far up in points that get that win, and obviously got a long ways to go. We can still be way back in points by the time the chase starts, but obviously with 2 wins, you feel very, very confident. But even with 1, I think that's going to be enough to get you into this chase. But you never know. I mean, this is a wild card event that you never know. A guy that you wouldn't typically think is going to win the race can win this. Obviously, we've seen that last year. So, but it does change it. To answer your question, yeah, we've scheduled our tests completely different to make sure we're prepared for the chase, not prepared to get into the chase. And the way we build our cars and the timing of when our new spec cars come out, that's all that stuff is timed out to make sure we're ready for the chase. And that's nice to have that this early in the season. Here we are. I think we're 9 or 10 races into the season. And to already have a couple wins, but to be able to really focus on getting the chase ready, and not saying that, hey, we're coming here all lackadaisy and don't care. I still want to go out there and win. I know my team does, and we want to keep that momentum because we want to have the ball rolling and have that momentum by the time the chase comes.
All right, we're going to go Ed and then up to Randy.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. I'm behind the cameras, too.
Everyone's hiding today.
You've won on a short track. You've won on an intermediate track this year. If you could come out of this casino with a win on Sunday, plate race, would you think, you know what, my resume is pretty doggone diverse for this year and pretty good, or would you come out of it thinking, well, it's just another lucky guy who won a crapshoot? Would you feel your resume is a little more complete with a win at this place on a plate race?
Yeah, I think anytime you win a race anywhere, these races are hard to win. I like how you call it a casino because there is some truth behind that, but at the same time, a lot of skill goes into winning these things. And you look at some of the guys that are more aggressive out there. I think if you look at Matt Kenseth, he's, I feel like, one of the best speedway racers out there right now. And he's also the most aggressive as far as cutting it close from cars behind. And sometimes that gets him in trouble, but a lot of times he's up towards the front. He's leading a lot of laps, and he wins a lot of these races. So, there's, it's risk versus reward again, like we talked about a minute ago, and how aggressive you are to, making those blocks and making sure you get those runs and pushes. And sometimes it might be a small hole, but, if you can make it work, it pays off, and, there is a lot of skill that goes into winning a race like this, but it's a lot different skill than what we do every other week, and it's a lot more of a crapshoot. Like you say, it's a casino. There a lot more plays into it here because a lot of other people, determine what your future is.
All right, Randy, go ahead.
Joey, Randy Kovitz, Kansas City Star. You can see me right here.
I see you.
Just reflect on what a difference a year has made for you. I mean, a year ago this time with the new team, you had just gone through the penalties from Fort Worth and Denny's incident and Tony's words and a crash at Kansas the next week, and here you are, assured of the chase. Just kind of talk about how you've grown and just what's clicked in this time last year.
Obviously, yeah, a lot of things stacked up against us at this point last year, but we were still fast. We still had a lot of speed in our cars, but obviously a lot of events have been going on, and we were in the middle of all the drama. It seemed like every week, no matter what it was, and that's not necessarily a good thing, but that shows how tough my team is, because we've fought through that. then able to get that win in Michigan and then make the chase last year. After all that you just said, that says something about a team right there. And now this year we've so far, knock on wood, we've been able to cut out the drama. And I think you see those results for some of that reason, and also having another year under your belt with the team. Obviously that chemistry just keeps building. Myself and Todd Gordon are clicking right now, and he's giving me what I need, and I've been able to do my job, and that's why you see those race results there. So for two reasons, we cut out the drama, and we're able to obviously build off a year of getting to know each other and being able to use that to our advantage now.
How have you matured? How have you grown? I mean, 'cause you're still a young guy.
Yeah, well, like you said, I've been doing this for 6 years now, so I've been through a lot, and I've started obviously really young, as you all know. But to be able to have that experience now, and been through a lot of different experiences, and obviously I've been through a lot of experiences last year, but in the years prior to that, quite a bit of them is coming into the Sprint Cup Series as an 18-year-old, and going through some of the stuff I had to do, and pretty much growing up in front of everybody. So it's hard to say one thing that has changed me or maybe mature into who I am now, and I'm obviously not to where I want to be yet. I always want to, obviously keep getting better, and I think that goes for everyone. I'm sure Jimmy Johnson wants to keep getting better, and that's what it takes to go out there and win championships. But I'm trying to say one thing, but there's just so many little things here and there that has changed me as a driver and as a person. Thank you.
Brian, go ahead.
Brian Nelson with MRN. So with the All-Star race in a few weeks, obviously every week you're among the same company when you look around and you see Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson and so on. But just for you personally, how cool is it to be called an All-Star in this sport?
I love it. I think it's the most fun race you run all year. It's so much fun, and you're going for $1 million. Second place doesn't really pay nothing compared to what it pays to win the thing, and everybody knows that. And there's nothing to lose. And the whole week's fun because we get to qualify by making a pit stop and going 150 miles an hour down pit road. Like, that's really cool. A little bit crazy, but really cool. And it's just a fun week. And he said in the races, the way it plays out. And you don't really know where you're going to start the last round, and I don't really even know what the rules are this year for it yet. You guys might know, probably know a lot more about it than I do, because I have no clue if they changed them or not. But I get through 1 week at a time. But that whole weekend's fun, and it's an honor to be in the All-Star race. It's hard to get in it. And fortunately we've been able to win the races to get ourselves into it. But really, once you're in it, you want to go for the win. I finished second in it last year, and I don't think anybody even knows that, because no one really cares. And, that's why you got to go for the win there. And that's what everyone has the same attitude when they go there. It's just it's a lot of fun. It's, you don't have the pressure of points. You don't have the pressure of really anything. It's all for the win, all for the money.
I have another question right here.
Mark Burson, Thunder 92.7. The question goes to driver relations and how they change and how they are affected by somebody that has multiple wins, particularly with this format. Do you see any attitudes changing, and do you see that changing or transitioning to anything on the track in terms of how drivers treat you?
The format, I don't know what you mean by this format. But the new point system or the new qualifying here at Talladega, or both? Oh. Yeah, the driver relationships are all unique. Every one of them is very unique because you think about it, it's a competitor, right? So it's hard to be friends with a competitor right off the bat. Here's someone you want to be. So you're knowing you're going against them. That's very difficult. It's easier to be teammates with or be friends with your teammate, or someone like that, because that's a guy you're working back and forth with, and you're trying to make each other better. But I'm not trying to make someone on a different team better. I don't really want to do that. Then I got to go out there and compete against them. So they're very unique. They're very different. And obviously sometimes we run into each other, and then you got to go through the process of rebuilding that. But I think it's hard to be have that real tight friendship with another driver. I think and I think all the drivers can probably agree with that. There's a certain line that we all kind of go to, and then that's it. Because we want to beat each other. We're all here to win. But obviously having that the best relationship you can build, I think on the racetrack, that helps. That give and take you give on the racetrack, and then obviously the way you guys act and treat each other off the racetrack, all kind of adds up to especially here at Talladega on how this race plays out.
All right, Chris Knight, go ahead.
Joey, Chris Knight, NASCAR Wire Service behind cameras. Just curious, there's a lot of emphasis on qualifying tomorrow, but what do you expect out of practice here in a little bit? Do you think that you'll see a lot of the teams practicing their qualifying maneuvers, or do you think it'll be just as crazy as qualifying?
No, I don't expect people to be practicing their qualifying stuff. I don't think. If that does happen, I'm sure it'll happen in the second practice. But we're focused on getting our car good enough to race, make sure it's solid. And when you come to these speedways, there's only so much you can change. You make all your speed at the shop. You don't really make much speed once you get here anymore these days. Remember the old days they used to cut off the car and put new fenders on it and do all this crazy stuff. You don't do that, so you only got so much you can change when you come here for practice. So really it's all about, making sure your car is decent, tune your motor in, maybe make a change if the balance isn't really off, and that's it. I mean, we're planning on 3 runs. We're not going to make qualifying runs because we're going to be out in the pack, for qualifying. So that takes that out that we used to do. So now it's really about making sure your car drives good, making sure it's got decent speed, make sure your motor's tuned in good. And there may be a few guys that are practicing, laying back in the pack and trying to make that run and trying to figure out when they need to time it to go and try to get through the field. But I would assume that the front cars in this draft today in practice are going to be out there trying to make sure their car is okay. And if there's a guy trying to make a big lap running through the field, they're going to get blocked off at some point and not be able to really have that practice of qualifying.
All right, Kelly, go ahead.
Kelly Crandall from Popular Speed. Joe, you mentioned that the plate racing has changed throughout the years. I'm curious if that's been from the race package you all have had or the mentality of the drivers in terms of who's going to be more aggressive than others and as well as the risk versus reward factor you mentioned.
It's all due to the package we're dealt. I feel like the drivers will adapt to what car they have and the package and the rules package that NASCAR has given us to go out there and win. So that's why I think you see the racing change. Obviously, you had the 2-car draft that we used to have, that 2-car tango, whatever you guys want to call it. We had that. That's obviously that's gone now. And we really, because of the new package and a new extended bumper, we can't get to each other very well or be able to stick there when we get there. So that's changed that racing. So that's not because of us not being as aggressive or anything like that. That's just because we can't physically get there anymore. And then as far as the pack and the draft and that's just what the cars have dealt us here, and that's kind of why you see that type of racing now.
All right, we'll take our final question up front from Bob Pockris right here.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. I assume last year during all your drama that you probably wanted to punch somebody. Would it have been worth $25,000, or are you glad that you didn't?
That's not a fair question to ask me right now. But yes. But I think when you're in the heat of the moment, and someone's in your face or something like that, or you just got wrecked or something happened, yeah, I mean, you're not thinking about $25,000 at that point. Yeah, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money. But that's something you it's like after you do it, probably you think, oh man, get my checkbook out, but I think NASCAR had to do something about it, I'm glad there's no points or anything like that was handed out. I think that would have been a little excessive, but I think for what it was, and I don't know, I wasn't in the middle of it, but I'm sure they think it's worth it.